live.
Okay, welcome aboard, everybody, on a lovely Sunday morning. That's right. We got the playoffs. We're preparing for next year. We got static in our head. I don't know how long I can stay on because we got some static. Thank you, Eddie Heckman. We got good sound. Just because all I hear is static, it doesn't matter. Good morning to Andrea Adorable, the lovely Roto lady, the love of my life. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you, Leonard.
Did you see that message on Facebook that we got married?
Yeah, well, no, I heard about it. I don't typically check Facebook very often, so.
Yeah, well, always good to know that we got married. Good morning to Murray GD. Nice to see you. Jimmy Caprion, nice to see you. Eddie Heckman, Colombo, Robert C. And away we go. Does anybody hear static? Because I do. That's the whole thing. If you hear static, I'm getting off because it's okay with her. Where do I click today? All right. So they hear.
How can Eddie say that the sound is good?
So how do you say the sound is good if you don't know where to click? All right, up on the video. That's where you click for today's show. Okay, today's show brought to you by Lumpo Soap. Remember, Lumpo Soap. Do you use Lumpo Soap, Andy?
I know this joke, I think.
It doesn't lather and it doesn't foam. It just keeps you company in the tub. Lumpo Soap. All right, go ahead. Let's kick it off. A lot of good playoff games yesterday, don't you think?
Not really. I didn't really think it was that great of games yesterday.
Well, I'll tell you what, Max Fried, who remember when I discovered Max Fried in the Arizona Fall League?
Yes, I do.
That's right. Star Dog is here. Good morning to you.
Okay.
Good morning. Good morning to. So the Giants.
Okay, so let me do some.
Yeah, go ahead.
I need to test the sound here, so I'm going to remove Lenny, and you guys, I want to know if you can still hear the static, because I don't hear any static, and I'm wondering if it's coming from my side of things. And so let's get this worked out before we keep going. And so lots of static, but is that on Lenny's end or my end? Now Lenny is out of the stream. I need to narrow down where the problems are coming from. Lenny's still talking, but he doesn't realize nobody can hear him now. So just check in with me. Let me know if there's still static. It's my static. Okay, so I'm going to change headphones. I'll be back. I'll put Lenny back on.
All right, that's fantastic. It might be her headphones, and I think it is. So the White Sox and the Astros played yesterday, and a little surprised that Tony La Russa passed over a well-rested veteran in Carlos Rodon, who in 14 innings pitched against the Astros has only allowed 4 hits and 1 run with 18 strikeouts. What'd you think of passing up Carlos Rodon? Yeah, that's right. It is your headset. So yeah, Carlos Rodon, 14 innings against the Astros, and he didn't pitch yesterday. Anybody in the chat room, as we welcome Anthony D.B. Miller, remember Tito Luna is back. Jeter Luna is back in the chat room this morning. That's right. It's not the Yankees who had a Jeter. It's not the Marlins who had a Jeter. This chat room has Jeter. Jeter Luna, good morning to you, my friend. Nice to see the great Jeter Luna, and bringing along the old man along with him is Tito Luna. Nice to see you, Tito Luna. So anybody in thank you, Ed, for telling me I sound good. Okay. What about Carlos Rodon for next year? Anybody think they may be taking a chance on Carlos Rodon for next year? Very interested to hear if anybody is interested in Carlos Rodon for next year. That's all right. Sound is still good. Sound is okay. Just want to make sure everybody's got the good sound. So yeah, Carlos Rodon did not make the and instead Dylan Cease gets the nod. I'm also surprised that we didn't see Michael Kopech get a chance to pitch. He was well rested. I don't know. All right. All right, Tito Luna, go up to right corner. I am talking to Tito Luna. What, you can't hear me? Who, you?
I can hear you. Are you on air?
I don't know. I think
You're on air. I'm trying to replace my headphones.
good idea. Yeah, I'm on air. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Tito Luna's good now. All right. Colombo can hear me. Everybody up to the right corner. Okay. The right corner for Saturday baseball. Okay. URDAYBASE. I think I can freaking spell. 74 years old and I'm the best speller in the chat room. All right, there you go. So that's I'm surprised Michael Kopech didn't pitch. Now, is anybody thinking of drafting Michael Kopech next year? Would you like Michael Kopech? What, you're reaching over me? You got everything hanging out. I'm supposed to concentrate? What the hell's going on here?
No, I need your headphones.
You need my headphones.
Let me plug this back in.
All right, go ahead. Get that.
Here's
Take
this
that.
for that.
There's that for that.
And
All right. So you got Michael Kopech and Carlos Rodon, two players on the White Sox. And the White Sox have peaked. You know, they spent the whole year. All right. They spent the whole year cruising their way through the Midwest division of Major League, the Central Central Division in the American League. So Kopech and Rodon, two players that I'll tell you, I would draft both of them next year. Certainly at the value, I don't suspect Kopech is going for less than for more than $8. And Rodon probably will go for about I think if you go 11 or 12, you could wind up with a pretty good number 3 pitcher for next year. That's my opinion of that. Okay. Good number 3 pitcher for next year could be Carlos Rodon. You'd probably wind up spending about $12. $12. That's all it's going to take for Carlos Rodon. I would definitely take a shot on that one. Okay. Keeping with this White Sox game, I'll tell you what, White Sox and the Astros, it's going to be tough. White Sox are going to have to do it all. Now, Atlanta and Milwaukee went at it. Lots of excellent pitching. I mean, Max Fried was phenomenal. 6 shutout innings after Corbin Burns did. That's what he did in game 1. And the Atlanta franchise now, Morgana has resurfaced. There you go. Who's Morgana? Is that the kissing bandit, Morgana? I hope so. That's right. Andrea's Morgana. She comes down to give me a kiss while I'm on the air. That's
Can
all.
you hear
Okay.
me?
I hear you now.
Is it
Ladies
really-
and gentlemen, let's hear it for the Roto lady, Andrea, the Red Sox fan.
Is there any static now?
No static now.
Thank goodness for your headphones.
Okay. So
we're talking about the White Sox peaking already?
Yeah, we got. I finished with the White Sox. Not a lot to say that you didn't say yesterday. We're talking about the Braves and the Brewers. With the Braves franchise, 29-10 in postseason game in number 2 games of postseasons. The Brewers franchise is now 2-8 in postseason game 2s.
Yeah, not looking good for that, but they're tied now 1-1. And Max Fried did pitch very good yesterday, and Corbin Burns pitched very good the day before. I just say to you, Jorge Soler batting leadoff.
That was crazy. Isn't that something? A 225 hitter.
Well, actually, in 54 games, guess how many home runs he's hit in 54 games since he was traded? Well, since he joined the new team. From July 30th to October 3rd, guess how many home runs Jorge?
Oh, I'll tell you, he hasn't been a 225 hitter for the Braves. I would say he's hitting about 11 home runs.
14 homers.
Okay.
272 batting average, 361 on base percentage, 33 RBIs and 36 runs scored in 54 games.
And he's had a 358 on base percentage.
361 now.
361. That's after the game. Before the game, he was batting 269 with a 358 on base since Atlanta got him from Kansas City. And next year, don't forget, next year, Acuna comes back. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, Adam Duvall, who's been awful in the playoffs, no question about it. Duvall, Soler, Acuna, all returning. Are you kidding me? We forget sometimes that Atlanta has done great. You know, they were 4 games behind the New York Mets when Acuna got hurt. And many people said, that's it. Mets are going to take it. And from that point on, Atlanta has been phenomenal without perhaps the best player in the league.
But yeah, I mean, neither of these teams are hitting well right now in the postseason. So the Braves are hitting 175. They're 11 for 64 in the series. And Milwaukee is batting 183. They're 11 for 60. And one other thing with Adam Duvall, this guy is absolutely just stinking it up. Not that everybody's bad. I mean, everybody's kind of bad. But in Adam Duvall's last 9 postseason games since 2019, he's 2 for 31 with 1 home run, 17 strikeouts, and a walk. Yesterday went 0 for 3 and a walk.
So
at least he's walking, right?
I mean, Freddie Freeman's a free agent. You got to believe he's coming back to Atlanta. Ozuna could be coming back to Atlanta. Acuna could be coming back to Atlanta. And then they have Jock Peterson, Jorge Soler, and Eddie Rosario all coming back along with Adam Duvall next year. That's going to be a very crowded outfield for the Atlanta Braves. They're going to be in the offseason. They're going to be very active. They got Charlie Morton and Drew Smiley, 2 guys who are going to be out there on the free. They're supposed to get Mike Soroka could come back. You have any love for Mike Soroka next year?
I feel bad for him. Yeah, I mean, he's got an Achilles tendon problem, but that does heal up, and there is no reason why he shouldn't be fine to pitch again.
Okay.
Freddie Freeman, well, there was no good reason why he would have torn his Achilles again that soon to begin with. So who knows about what could happen, but just not a good deal with him. 354 is what Freddie Freeman bats with runners in scoring position over the past 7 seasons. Freddie Freeman, why isn't he signed again to an extension? What is the deal? You said he's going to be a free agent?
Well, he's eligible to be free agent, but he'll be fine.
Of course he'll be fine, but what the hell is Atlanta thinking?
Oh, there's a picture of Morgana, the kissing bandit. Do you remember Morgana?
Not really. Oh, yes, of course I do. The big boob lady?
I thought that was you.
Wait, the big boob lady that runs out onto the field? Okay.
That's right.
She's like the lady in Arizona Fall League, kind of. But that lady doesn't run out on the field with big boobs.
No.
She's kind of the same. Not really.
She's just a loudmouth. We got Soler and Peterson are definitely free agents next year.
Poor Brandon Woodruff gets no love, gets no run support, dude. He should call up Jacob deGrom and they could talk on the phone for hours. This Brandon Woodruff, he got 2.9 runs of support from his offense per start per this past seasons, okay? That's the lowest in the MLB. The lowest of any Major League Baseball's qualifying pitchers during the regular season. He got the lowest run support. This guy gets no love from his offense, right?
Mm-hmm, yep, that's right.
Last night, did they score anything? No, nothing. He pitches 6 good innings. He does allow 5 hits, but 3 earned runs, 1 walk, struck out 7, and no love from the run support group.
No love, no runs. It's 286 runs of support, as you mentioned, per 9, with the lowest of any MLB qualifying. You're talking about qualifying pitchers.
Any starting pitchers. That means it's worse than DeGrom.
Qualifying.
Worse than any Seattle Mariner.
You know what it means to be a qualifying pitcher?
How many innings?
You know how many innings you must have to qualify when they talk about lowest run support, ERA, WHIP, and what do you need to qualify?
You need 150. No, 100 and
You need
60.
162 innings.
Yeah.
It's basically 1 inning per game, and there were only 37 qualifying pitchers this year, the lowest in I don't know 20 years for qualifying pitchers. So the CBA has to be changed. They got to change the definition of what a qualifying pitcher should be.
I see
right?
39.
Yeah, 39. Okay.
Wow, that's a great tidbit. That came right out of your little noggin, didn't it?
Out of my noggin. Everybody needs a noggin, right? That's
So
it.
which team do you think had the most qualified pitchers?
Probably not the Dodgers.
It's funny. It's really crazy because who I thought it would be is not on the list.
I thought it was. You can't say the Dodgers. Don't forget. You know, talk about Acuna being out and Osuna being out. How many teams could have a successful year losing arguably two of their best pitchers in Clayton Kershaw and Trevor Bauer, and they still make it through? Not
now,
bad.
let me explain something to you. The
Oh,
Dodgers
please.
they had 2 qualified starting pitchers. They only have 2 out of their rotation that they started the season with anyway. Remember how deep it was? And one of the 2 was in the bullpen to start the season. So anyways, I just immediately, when I said that to you, I thought Cleveland has to have the most qualified starters because,
Yes, right.
you know, they go lots of innings. They have 0 qualified starters in Cleveland. 0. Guess
Yeah,
which team has the most qualified starters? And it's 3.
I can't even take it. Probably, I would say the Marlins.
It's somebody you would never guess in the
Marlins?
American League.
American
League West.
That's not the American League West. I don't know. Tell us who it is.
It's the only team with 3 qualified starting pitchers.
And who is it?
Oakland.
Oakland. Yeah, that's right.
Unbelievable. Cole Irvin is a qualified starter.
Right. So only what 39 pitchers actually qualifying. It's 1 inning per game that's played. 162 games. You need 162 innings.
Oh wait, the White Sox have 3.
And
2.
the White Sox had 3 also.
That's
All
it.
right.
Yep,
So,
that's it. Oh, Cincinnati 3.
Oh yeah, how about that?
So those 3 teams, Cincinnati,
right,
White Sox, and Oakland, all have 3 qualified starters. The rest of the teams have 0 or 2 or
now
1.
Brandon Woodruff had also the 3rd lowest opponent's batting average among qualifiers during 198. The opponents hit off of Brandon Woodruff. All right.
Yeah.
And in game 2, the Braves, with a 198 batting average against all year, the Braves managed to get 3 successive hits, and that's how they accounted for their 2-0 lead in the 3rd inning.
Okay.
How about that one?
Sounds good.
We're still waiting. I haven't heard from Crystal Ball all week. Not
what
sure.
do you think about this?
Robbie
Ray with his 2.84 ERA.
Yeah.
I'm looking at for the qualified starters, I'm looking at the difference between their FIP, their xFIP, and their actual ERA.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me that out of these qualified starters, the biggest difference in FIP and actual ERA is Robbie Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a little scary going into next season. His FIP is 3.55 and his xFIP is 3.69. His actual ERA is under 3.
Oh, really? Right.
That's pretty scary.
Oh, wait a second, ladies and gentlemen. I believe we have Clark in the chat room.
Okay.
6-year-old Clark. Okay, along with Jeremy Gibbs. We got a lot of families in here.
Hey, Clark, who's your favorite team? Is it the Cardinals? I bet it is.
Robert Chandler's in the chat room. Good morning to you, Robert Chandler. And anytime I hear anything, I think of King Hap, but that's another story. Okay, next. What's next?
Okay, so let's I want to look at this ERA to find out who should have had this much lower ERA. So you got Aaron Nola with a 4.63 ERA, but his FIP is 3.37.
Right.
That's pretty good.
Okay.
And his xFIP is also 3.37, which means that 4.63 is blown out of proportion. So don't hold it against Aaron Nola next year. What else we got? I'm just going. We also have Nathan Eovaldi, who has a 3.75 ERA, but his FIP says 2.79. That's
Yeah.
one earned run different.
You know that, and Evaldi, so his name is being built up big time. He's
Yeah.
having a tremendous exhibition season. How much are we going for? Do we have confidence that Nate Evaldi is going to be a good fantasy pitcher next year, or is the playoffs going to boost his value?
Well, it depends. Is it today the Boston game or tomorrow?
I think he's pitching in the next Boston game.
Yeah, he's pitching in the next game, so we'll see how he does there.
Yep.
But I would definitely be skeptical of this innings increase for him. He pitched 182 innings this year, and literally the last time he pitched that many innings was in 2014. Okay, the last couple years he didn't even pitch that many combined. So
Wow.
I don't think that it's a good idea to draft him too high. Although it depends on where you can get him. But I would say that he's going to be too expensive for me.
Atlanta Braves, by the way, they won 10 games this year after trailing by 3 runs or more. Okay. And one of their 10 wins was against the Braves. So this Brewer team, they really have a tremendous, tremendous team. Unlike you take a look at Atlanta, and you mentioned Freddie Freeman, one of the really top of the line players in Major League Baseball. Milwaukee doesn't have that. Freeman, who drove in the game's first run, his average with runners in scoring position. Now listen to this consistency.
We just talked about this, Leonard.
Over the last 7, no, we didn't say what.
Well, I said the average overall. So
but
you
this
can
is his average with runners in scoring position.
Okay.
The last 7 seasons.
Okay.
352, 423, 358, 327, 346, 295 was a clinker, and 376. And that is Freddie Freeman with runners in scoring position. Last 7 years.
Yes, Freddie Freeman. That's why I'm wondering why haven't they signed him?
I think his agent is. I think
Oh.
he's. It's what's his name? I think
Yeah.
his agent's
What is his
saying,
name?
"Look, they know that they can sign him." Unlike in Milwaukee, who for years relied on Christian Yelich. Can you believe Christian Yelich? He went from 44 home runs and 30 stolen bases in 130 games to 9 home runs, 9 stolen bases in 117 games.
Yeah, dude, I don't like Christian Yelich at all. I also really don't like Bellinger, dude. What a just a disappointment, Bellinger.
All right, we'll get to a little bit more Bellinger in just a little bit. Thank you, everybody, for being in the chat room Sunday morning. We're doing it, while other podcasts and websites, everybody's shying away from baseball. We're adding shows. That's right, we're adding shows. So, unbelievable. And who has more efficient innings than Max Fried? I got to tell you something. When we saw him in Arizona, and we go there and we sat behind home plate. Do you remember sitting behind home plate when we saw Max Fried pitch?
Yes, I do. He struck out a lot of batters.
Not only that, and by the way, when you go to Arizona, you pick out the game based upon who's pitching, and you go sit behind the plate. What his efficiency, his field presence, his mound presence, that he's been a 1-2-3 innings. He gets that all the time. Men on base, next 3 batters are out. 6 in his last 8 games, he's had 6 1-2-3 innings. In his last 17 games, he's had 13 1-2-3 innings. 24 games, he has 17 1-2-3 innings. And listen to this one. In his last 30 games, he's had 20 1-2-3 innings. Now that's a pitcher who knows how to pitch.
I agree. I'm still trying to find Freddie Freeman's agent.
Oh, what's his name? Yeah, who's the
famous guy? What is his name? It's like right on my tip of my tongue, and I really have to.
Somebody has to remember the agent. That's
name.
The agent. Now in Freddie Freeman's past 4 starts, all crucial wins at San Francisco and San Diego at home against the Phillies. He's 4-0 with a 0.31, allowing 1 earned run, 13 hits, and 29 innings with 24 strikeouts. I'll tell you what, this year I had Max Fried, I had Corbin Burns, and I had Zach Wheeler. And the surprising thing about that was that I finished in second place. Right?
Okay. Yes. I
When
can't. Yeah, that's great.
Scott Boras, there you go. Thank you, Eddie Heckman.
Scott Boras, right. Well,
Scott
I
Boras.
don't think that he is a Boras guy because it says that he's his agent is Excel Sports Management, and it
All
says
right,
the top
maybe.
agents are not, his name is not on there.
Okay, maybe.
They have
Sorry.
183 clients.
All right, that's pretty good. And you
Holy
mentioned,
moly, contract value under management is 3.99 billion.
wow, you talked about Adam Duvall and his 2 for 31.
Yeah.
He did. I mean, he has really been in game 2. He was 0 for 3 with a walk. Remember in last year's National League Championship Series, he injured his oblique in game 1, missed the rest of the series. He's going to be a big factor here. Big factor.
Yeah.
All right. He may be the key. And of course, game 3, who's pitching for Milwaukee? It's probably going to be Freddie Peralta for some reason. Now, has anybody in the chat room seen who Greg Counsell is picking to start today's game? It's got to be Freddie Peralta, right? Wouldn't you think?
I would assume so. Now let me so I'm looking at, guess how much Scott Boras, geez Louise, he is still the number 1 agent in baseball for sure.
Yep.
He's got 3.2 billion all on his own. Okay, and he's worth $160 million. He's worth that much. So I'm going back to my notes here. You're talking about the fact that they haven't decided who's going to start tonight's game.
Right.
Yeah, I don't really know why they would wait. I can't imagine it being anybody but Freddie Peralta, and I know Ian Anderson's pitching on the other side for the Braves, but the Brewers, whatever. They don't have who else could it be?
I don't know.
So let's talk about the fact that you want to talk about San Francisco and the Dodgers right now, about last night's game?
Now, do you remember there was an agent, his name was Agent Orange, and
What?
he was my counselor in camp.
Oh, geez.
And then he became the original Scott Boras. It was the first. I can't think of his name. It was Agent Orange, is what he was called, because he had red hair. All right.
Oh, geez, are you kidding me?
So he's a sports agent, and I forget, he was my counselor in camp, and then he went on to be somebody famous. All right, I'll remember his name. Go ahead.
Okay,
next.
how about this? Scott Boras has 13 contracts over $100 million. 13 of his clients have contracts over $100 million.
Wow.
It's unbelievable. So, all right, going back, let's talk about the Giants and the Dodgers.
Well,
so
wait
yesterday,
a second. I'm not done
finally
yet.
got a win.
Wait a second.
Okay.
Gee, Willikers.
See, this is why I'm drunk in the morning.
What's a Williker, by the way? So
it's probably Poppycock's brother.
Yeah, that's good. You know, Atlanta's hitting, they're 11 for 64 in the series. That's 175 batting average.
Yeah, I know, but look at the other team that they're facing. They're horrible too.
They're 11 for 60, Milwaukee, batting 183.
Yeah.
And it looks like on Monday, Ian Anderson is going to go pitch game number 3, but we don't know who.
This is tomorrow's game. Okay.
Yeah, this is on Monday. Okay, the Brewers have not announced that yet. All right, let's go on to the San Francisco, LA. Go, baby, go.
San Francisco, look at this. What happened to Gausman? He hasn't been very good to finish the season. I wonder what that's all about. He still did pitch 5 1/3 yesterday, but 4 earned runs. He walked 3, struck out 7. And it took him 84 pitches. That's not horrible, right? In 5 1/3, 84 pitches, 54 were strikes. But Julio Urias, who won 20 games, the only pitcher to win 20 games this regular season, now has 21 wins on the season because he won yesterday. 1 walk, 1 earned runs, 3 hits allowed, only 72 pitches for him. And I mean, look, what is it? Tied now? Are you still on?
I'm right here. I'm
Okay.
listening to you ramble.
Is it
Ramblin'
the situation?
Road.
Game one,
Because I'm looking here and I noticed that Julio Urias picked up his 7th postseason win.
and that's huge.
It ties him with Madison Bumgarner for the most wins by a pitcher age 25 or younger in the history of the postseason. And he really, what he does when he gets on the mound, there are some pitchers that I have seen in baseball that just inspire their team when they come on the mound. I would believe Clayton Kershaw is one of them too. 11 times in 33 starts. You talk about Woodruff not getting any run support.
Yeah.
11 times in 33 starts. The Dodgers have scored 7 or more runs when Julio Urias was on the mound.
So he's got the most run support versus the Woodruff has the least run support,
Right.
right?
How we doing, Robert Chandler? Nice to see you in the
Since
chat room. Go ahead.
Okay. Since August, the Dodgers are 24-0 with 92 run differential in games started by Julio Urias or Max Scherzer. And Max Scherzer's pitching in the next game. I think that's tomorrow night. But Max Scherzer, what did we see yesterday? A crazy, very interesting little spiel on. There's a channel on YouTube called Baseball Doesn't Exist. And it
Right.
has just great informational, like 20-minute long, I guess you could call them like documentaries or whatever they are. They're informational, 20-minute long, uh, things that you don't hear every day in the newspaper. Even us reading the newspapers and talking about baseball every day, I still don't know these things that this guy goes out and finds. I mean, there's one about Jose Fernandez and his struggles to get to America. There's Puig's story is so interesting. Yesterday we watched Max Scherzer talks about the only real, or is there a real true psychopath in the game of baseball? And Max Scherzer, I had no idea like how just intense Max Scherzer is. Like he will scream at his managers to he's not coming out of the game and they will just turn around and walk away. And this is at every level that he's ever played. He's played completely injured. He played after he lost his brother to suicide. This guy is unstoppable. And if I was a hitter, I think I would be terrified of Max Scherzer if I was up at the bat.
That's, you know what? I saw that. We watched that together, and I had no idea that Max Scherzer was so intense. He was nasty.
Jeez, and he doesn't like to be touched or even talked to. Like when he's pitching, you're not even supposed to look at him or talk to him. He has cursed out his managers for congratulating him on a good pitching job. Like,
Right.
and I never knew, or it has never really been like major news that when a manager tries to come out to the mound to take Scherzer out, he straight up is the only player I've ever seen just say no. And the manager, and this really like this stare down, and he was fighting with Joe Girardi last year. Did you see that part where he was actually fighting with Joe Girardi?
Yeah, Girardi came out of the dugout to
Yeah.
confront him, right?
I've never seen Girardi act like that, dude. Max Scherzer got the best of him. That was when Girardi, he had already been checked for substances like twice. And the third time that Joe Girardi said, I want him checked again, he started taking off his pants.
Yeah, that was pretty.
But they never talked about that in the media. They talked about the other relief pitcher that was about to take off his pants.
So is that why? I guess that's why you watch baseball, right?
Pretty much, but I didn't see it, so that must not be the only reason.
Chris Gallo is here. That's another reason why you watch baseball.
Guess
Good morning,
who?
Chris.
Guess who got the only scoring run off of Julio Urias last night? My boy.
I don't know who got the scoring run.
Who's my boy on San Francisco? Who's my boy?
Oh, Crawford?
Wilmer Flores.
Oh, Wilmer Flores. There you go.
Walk, right? Went to second base on a single by Brandon Crawford and then tagged up on back-to-back fly balls to advance a base each time, and that scored the tying run 1-1, but that was it for them. So yes, Wilmer Flores coming through. Nobody ever gives any love to Wilmer Flores. Let me say another thing real quick.
That's impossible. Go ahead.
Yeah. Let me say another thing. The Giants had the fewest blowout losses of 5 or more runs in the season. Okay,
Yeah.
there were 9 times that they got beat by 5 or more runs. The Dodgers were 2 of the or 3 of the 9 times that they got beat by 5 or more runs was by the Dodgers. So
Right.
that's the only team to do it more than once. So before yesterday, the last time the Giants lost at home by 7 or more runs was July 28th. And guess who it was
That was
against?
against the Dodgers, right?
Yes, the
That was
Dodgers.
against the Dodgers. That was
Correct.
correct. And you mentioned Brandon Crawford. He hit his first postseason home run in Game 1 in 7 years. And Buster Posey hit his first postseason home run in 9 years. And until Game 1 of this series, Crawford or Posey have never homered in the same postseason game.
Crawford and Posey are just 2 of the oldie but goodies.
Yep.
Okay. They're
And
just 2.
we have to talk about Logan Webb. I know you talked
Yes,
about him a little bit yesterday,
absolutely.
but I mean, Logan Webb, how much are we paying for Logan Webb next year?
I think you might be overpaying if you're not careful, okay?
You think so? Why is that? In Game 1, what he did was very special.
Let me preface this real quick by
Go ahead,
saying
just interrupt
let me
me.
just
You don't give
preface.
a hootenanny what I'm saying. Go ahead.
Yes, I do. I'm setting up what you're gonna say. I
Uh,
want you to know that going into that game, okay, that Logan Webb pitched the other day, he had not lost a game in 20 straight starts, and that was with the Giants winning 18 of those 20 games. So he had not lost a game in 20 straight games started.
all
Go
right.
ahead.
All right. In
That was
postseason
staggering.
history, only
Yeah.
30 times a pitcher has gone 7 2/3 innings and allowed 5 or fewer hits, no runs, or struck out at least 10. It's unbelievable. And Webb didn't walk a batter either. And that makes him one of 4 pitchers who has done that. Trevor Bauer did it, Jake Arrieta,
Arietta.
Cliff Lee did it. Okay. But Logan Webb is really special. So we'll see. I gotta believe he's gonna go for $16 next year
Logan Webb.
in a 260 auction. You know, sometimes
Oh,
we see it's like in the off season, we see players that are free agents, players that are trade bait. Their names are mentioned all the time. Their values go up just because of that. If Logan Webb continues to pitch as he's doing, he's without a doubt a $16 player.
if I get him for 16 bucks, dude, I'm thinking that might be one of the best deals of the draft because I think I mean, he headed into that it's not just the postseason for him. He had a great season overall, especially the second half of the season, which always leads over to draft day in fantasy baseball. But for San Francisco, who has the oldest group of position players in baseball, their average age of position players is over 30. Okay, it's 30.6. 14 different Giants had 250 plate appearances, and 12 of those 14 are in their 30s. Their
Mhm.
5 most productive players of the season are at least 33, which is Belt, Crawford, Posey, Longoria, and Darren Ruff.
So Urias, who's let's see, if Logan Webb goes for 16, how much will Urias go for?
I
22?
mean, these guys are going to go for 20 bucks each, easy.
20? You think Logan Webb 20? I don't think he's going that high.
I hope he doesn't, but
And I
uh-oh, time for me to go and take a second to go hook up Lenny again. Be right back, fellas. Yo,
Okay, we're back.
I need a commercial. I need to make a commercial of our upcoming shows, for this times when I go downstairs to hook you back up. It would be perfect amount of time for a commercial.
That would be perfect. So here's a commercial for you. It's called Mother Fletcher's Meatless Meatballs.
I wonder if Tony C is still here. Hi, Tony C.
Well, he was in the chat room?
He said hi.
Oh, next time you have people over and you're serving meatballs and spaghetti, Mother Fletcher's Meatless Meatballs, when they fall off your fork and land in your lap, they bounce right back into your plate. Nobody even knows.
What is
Anyway,
that, Tony? That has to be for Tony because he's the only one in the world that would even get it.
it was a typical, getting back to yours, what a typical performance in a season that's seen him win 21 games. He's won 20 in the regular season, one big game to start the playoffs. And really, no team scored more runs for their starting pitcher than the Dodgers did for Urias, who was happy to return the favor, even helped out at the plate. But here's the thing. Do you think psychologically, there's so many psychological things, like it's great to have a great clubhouse, it's good to have a great atmosphere. A manager's job, in my opinion, is not to go up there and swing the bat. His number one job is to
Yeah, well, I
create.
hope not. I really hope it's not his job to swing the bat.
It's his job to create an atmosphere for winning. Now,
Right.
let me get to this. There's a lot of psychological stuff. Yogi says that 95% of the game is 90% mental or something like that. But here's the thing. Do you think that a pitcher, okay, pitching in a game inspires his offense? Is that possible? Is it not just by accident that the Dodgers score so many runs for Urias, and the Mets don't score runs for DeGrom? Do you think that's a psychological aspect that Urias does well and Jake DeGrom does not? Does anything play into that?
I can only no, I don't really know this, okay, but I can say that I think that when you have like as a hitter, when you have a good pitcher going, you would think that they should be able to score runs because for me it would be like, oh good, we have this guy on the mound tonight and less pressure to score. Or if it's a bad pitcher, you might say to yourself, oh crap, we got to score like 50 runs just to stay in the game for this full. But I don't know why Brandon Woodruff or Jacob DeGrom wouldn't get the run support. Probably because the Mets suck this year. They hate
Yeah,
each
all
other
right.
and they just don't have it. But I do wonder about why Brandon Woodruff gets no run support. I don't know. There has to be something to it because after a while it becomes less of just a coincidence, right? After how many times does it have to happen for it to no longer just be a coincidence?
Well, Urias commanded the fastball with rare precision. 27 of the 34 fastballs he threw went for strikes.
I mean, you're talking about the team with the most runs in base. Like, I mean, the Houston Astros probably have a better run differential, but that's the only team, if they even do, have a better run differential than, I don't know. As far as scoring runs, the Dodgers score a lot of runs anyway, so it's not that big of it's not that crazy that they score when Urias is on the mound.
Well, the craziest part is that the Giants only swung and missed at a pitch 3 times.
Right.
That's it. And they only recorded 1 hit on an Urias fastball. So they didn't swing and miss. They made contact, but they could only record 1 hit. And this is what he does all the time. He always keeps hitters honest with his curveball and his changeup. The only run he allowed came in the second inning when your boy, Wilmer Flores walked, went to second on a Brandon Crawford single, and then tagged up on back-to-back fly balls to advance a base each time. So Wilmer did score. And Urias never had to pitch from behind. And that's a big deal.
Guess who drove in the Dodgers' first run, too, against Kevin Gausman?
Bellinger.
Urias. Bellinger stinks, okay, to high heaven.
All right, we'll get that. All right.
So bad. It was Julio Urias that drove in the first run against Kevin Gausman.
It's the Roto Lady. It's the Roto Lady and the legend right here. Also, Roberts said that Urias is available to pitch Game 5.
Yes, they said that. Yep.
That's right.
On Thursday, if he's needed. He was actually warming up to pitch in Game 1 or 2. The other day, he was warming up to pitch just in case they needed him.
So
he's
with the
like,
Dodgers, surprising move, uh, surprising decision to replace Urias after 5 innings, after he threw only 72 pitches in the
no.
top of the fifth. Right?
Why?
I don't know. It
Why is
just
that
seems
surprising?
because he's pitching so good. How do you take him out? He is 25 years old. He's won 7 playoff games in his career. The
Yeah.
only other pitcher that has won as many postseason games at such a young age at 25. Who do you think it was? He's still pitching, and he's
Mad Bum.
Mad Bum is the answer.
Now,
25 years old, right?
and let me say this though. They want to keep him ready, dude, but they don't want to I mean, if he went out there 7 or 8 innings, would he even be available then if they needed him tomorrow or the next day? I mean, they said he's available Thursday for game 5, but I guarantee they're just trying to keep him I don't think that they're trying to overwork him right now. That's the biggest key for them. That's the only real reason, right? Everybody probably knows that. There's only one reason why they would pull him out after 5.
And now, as you said, the series heads to Dodger Stadium, home field advantage. Max
Scherzer
Scherzer
in the
starting.
playoffs? Are you kidding me? It's
And
so scary. Scherzer.
the
I had no
Dodgers only
idea.
had 1 game this year with more than 4 first pitch hits. They had 5 back in the middle of April in a game that went 12 innings. The
What
only
is
other
this? The
time,
Dodgers hitting?
yeah, the Dodgers only had 1 game this year with more than 4. They really went after the first pitch. It looked to me that the Dodgers were hunting for the first pitch strikes against that San Francisco bullpen. I mean, Corey Seager, he got a first pitch double off of Garcia. Smith got a first pitch home run off of Littell. Bellinger against Leon, first pitch double. Pollock against Leon, another first pitch. So they were going after I've always said, you know that the pitcher is trying to get ahead in the count, right? So chances, a lot of pitchers throw that first pitch fastball to get ahead in the count, or that first pitch, whatever it is, to get a call strike. I'm always taking the position that you want to really attack a pitcher, swing at that first pitch.
Yeah, they are being quite aggressive, I have to say. Now, in the chat room, Robert brought up the innings increase for Julio Urias. I would have to say that, I mean, every single one of these guys that pitched that even qualified this past season, which was 39 qualified starting pitchers, all of them had a huge increase just in comparison to last year. But when you have a guy that has never pitched more than 150 innings and then he goes 185 innings, or if he never even pitched more than 100 innings, which is Julio Urias never pitched more than 100 innings in a season. Let me make sure that he didn't do it combined in the minors.
Okay. And by the way, Alex Wood starts against Max Scherzer.
So
Okay.
yeah, there's no season where he even reached 100 innings, and that includes all of his minor league appearances. So
Okay.
he goes from 55 innings and 79 innings to 185 innings. That's a huge increase. I think that there's going to be a lot of these guys. For guys, though, that are going into a huge increase from 2020 to 2021, I'm not putting a lot into that, I don't think. This is just me, and I'm not saying that it's perfectly right way to think. I'm just saying, like, if the guy never pitched that many innings ever in his career and then he did it this year for the first time, I'm a little scared of that. But
it's Sunday morning, and it's not even 7 o'clock on Sunday morning. And Malpal's in the chat room.
good morning, Malpal.
Good morning.
Alex Wood, he stinks against the Dodgers. Let me say that for sure. I
Okay.
checked out his stats. Do not take him in the daily game. Do not even think of taking him in the daily game. AJ Pollock has 2 home runs against him in 25 at bats. Justin Turner, 2 home runs in 19 at bats. Chris Taylor, 2 home runs in 12 at bats. Albert Pujols, of course, he hits lefties, 1 home run in 12 at bats. And Trey Turner, a home run in 12 at bats. All these guys are hitting like crazy off of Alex Wood. And if I was the management, I would say, no way in hell am I putting Alex Wood out on the mound.
Well, you talk about hitting, needing a base with a runner in scoring position. It was a little surprising that Cody Bellinger couldn't deliver with his 160.
That's surprising.
But what's surprising was the key hit was by Urias. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So
he delivered and Bellinger didn't, and it's been a while since Cody Bellinger has delivered, but he did his last multi RBI double. He hasn't even he won the MVP award. The whole thing, he has really had a lot of problems. He was hitting 2 for 53 with 25 strikeouts in the regular season and postseason against the Giants, and then he did hit a 2-run double to break the game open.
So yeah, he was hitting he was hitting 038. That's .038 batting average.
Yeah.
Okay, against the Giants. But he was hitting a horrible 165 against everybody altogether in 350 plate appearances. He batted 165. Let me tell you one thing. This guy, okay, has not even first of all, he only had 2 extra base hits in the regular season on pitches faster than 95 miles an hour. Total extra base hits on the entire season in 350 at bats. How many extra base hits do you think Cody Bellinger hit in 2021?
Let's see. How many extra base hits is he?
Well, let me give you a clue. In 2019, he had 84 extra base hits in 660 plate appearances.
That's not even a clue. Go ahead. Just give me the answer.
21 extra base hits all season long for Cody Bellinger. He had 9 doubles all season, 10 home runs all season. This guy went from, now come on, okay. He went from 47 homers and 15 stolen bases to 10 homers and 3 stolen bases, and he's 25 years old. This guy's contact rate dropped 10%. Okay. His strikeout rate has been just a nightmarish mess. And I'm starting to wonder if this guy's crazy outlier of a season was actually the 2019 season and not the other ones, because now he's got a few seasons now to look at, and that is the only one that totally stands out from the rest. He's absolutely been figured out by pitchers. That's just my opinion, because I can't explain any other reason why. He is not hitting very good at all. He had 25 strikeouts and 53 at bats against the Giants until he hit a double yesterday. Big deal. He had 9 all season.
Who do you think?
Go ahead.
Keep on talking. We might as well keep going.
Look, I'm bitching about Bellinger. Everybody knows it. So just move on. You're probably saving the day right now.
Who has the most hits in Giants postseason history?
Pablo, big Panda.
He had them. He had 53. Buster Posey.
How about Pence? Hunter Pence.
Buster Posey, 54. You're pretty good.
Does Matt Bum have the most hits?
No. 54 for Posey, 53 for Sandoval. Hunter Pence, you got that right, 39. And then Frankie Frisch, you don't know who he is. No. He played second base, and he was pretty good.
But Matt Bum's not on there, huh?
As a hitter, no.
He is a good hitter. I don't care what you say.
And Posey's playing in the postseason for the 5th time. He now has more opposite field extra base hits in 2021 than he had in the other 4 postseasons combined.
Well, this guy had a career season this year, right? And he's over 33. I know that. I don't know how old he is, but he's been around since 2012. So Buster Posey, this year, he had a great season. Doubled his homers and stuff.
Did you talk about Kevin Gausman, who allowed 3 batted balls at 104 miles per hour?
Poor Kevin Gausman.
In the second inning. He only had one other inning allowing 3 or more batted balls that were hit that hard. It was against the Padres earlier in the season.
Imagine that, against the Padres. 2 home runs and a single at 104 miles per hour.
Crazy. And he just finished he finished the season where hitters batted 154 with runners in scoring position against them. But the Dodgers got 2 hits in a row against them. One of them was by Julio Urias. So,
yeah, right. Crazy. Yeah, like I said, he's the first one to score. So that's crazy, right?
All right. So before I take a siesta, we do not have Crystal Ball coming in. She called in and said she didn't want to interrupt the great show Andrea was doing. But we will tell you, Chris Taylor, through August 1st, Chris Taylor was batting .285. After August 1st, he was batting .178. Looks like the original Chris Taylor has returned.
Yeah, but I don't get why you say that. That's ridiculous. His stats in the postseason are not good. He has no home runs, no RBIs. He's got 3 walks. He's batting .167 in the postseason. So I don't know what this is, but he did have a horrible second half, and I think he's injured. But it's either him or Bellinger. So take your pick, right?
Let's talk.
Bellinger can't hit lefties anymore. So
I'm just going to bring in the Tampa Boston game, and you can take over. Fenway Park, Game 3,
today,
on the MLB Network. It'll be today.
yep.
And here's an incredible stat on the Red Sox bullpen: 6 Boston relievers have recorded at least one save since September. Hansel Robles is the leader with 3. Garrett Richards 2. Ottavino, Pavetta, Taylor, and Whitlock. And there you go. And
There's been a
terrific.
lot of saves this year, Leonard. Lots of
So,
saves.
and the best one is you saving me.
How
That
many? No, how many pitchers? No. How many innings do you have to pitch as a reliever to qualify as a qualified reliever?
that I don't know. I don't have a clue on that one.
48.
That's pretty good.
Why
All
is
right.
that?
So you want to take over? I've done my share. Done the first hour. I wasn't even going to do anything. Been a little under the weather, but I'll be back tomorrow at 9 a.m.
It was so nice of you to join me, Leonard.
That's for sure. Andrea, the Red Sox fan, I will tell the world I love you, and I'll speak to you later. Okay.
Oh, I am the Red Sox fan, so let's talk about the Red Sox today, even though I haven't been a Red Sox fan all year. I tried to become a Yankee fan for a while. It just wasn't happening for me. So I'm taking Lenny out. He wants to go. I'm surprised he even came on. He wasn't going to come on, so it's nice having him around. Now he'll be in the chat to hang out with you fellas. Too bad Tony C's not here still. Tony C. Okay, let's look at this because let me tell you one thing. There were so many closers this year, so many pitchers to get saves. I'm going to look it up quickly. And let's see how many closers or how many relief pitchers do you think earned a save this year? And then we'll say how many do you think earned 5 saves or whatever. But let's look at it first. We have a ton of pitchers getting saves. Seriously? There's more than 150. That's no joke. There's more than 150. I got to put more in my list here. So let's go to 250. Let's see what we got. There were 177 pitchers to get a save in 2021. There were, get this, there were 62 pitchers to get 5 saves in 2062. Yeah, 62. That's right, too. So there were 177 relievers that got at least 1 save. There were 62 to get 5 saves. There were, for 10 saves, we have 39. 39 pitchers got 10 saves or more. 24 pitchers got 15 saves or more. So think about your draft. Think about that. And as far as like drafting relievers goes in fantasy, if you have the normal everyday roto categories, you have saves, ERA, whip, wins, and strikeouts, and you have 25 relievers get 15 saves. You think about that in a draft, you think, okay, if everybody drafted 2 of these guys. The thing about saves and stolen bases is that you don't have to finish at the top. You might not even want to finish at the tops. A lot of times with stolen bases, especially if you're finishing with the most stolen bases, you are not winning your league. That is, if you're going to focus on something to target, you should focus on runs. That usually, if you finish really high in runs, then you're typically in the top third of the league standings. So anyway, back to saves and stolen bases. These 2 categories, I think, are easy to maneuver because you don't need the most saves. You don't even need close to the most saves, and you don't need close to the most stolen bases, as long as you don't have the least. Or as far as saves goes, there's always going to be a guy in your league that has like 5 saves on the season or really low number of saves. So if you got just one closer, one decent closer that's going to, that's hard to tell who it is. But let's say you got a guy that's going to save 30 games. You're not finishing at the bottom. You're not finishing last. So if you got 2 of these guys that are free, Scott Barlow got 16 saves. Scott Barlow, nobody drafted him. Nobody drafted him. So, and there's other guys too, of course, that nobody drafted on this list. It's all about figuring out who they are. If you got a pitcher that just got 10 saves, if you got one pitcher that's 20 saves and one pitcher that's 10 saves, bottom line is you don't need to spend a lot of money on a closer. That probably isn't going to work out. Especially these guys go back to last year and you look at I'm thinking the one that comes to my mind is the closer in Cleveland, um, who had a great season, Karinchak. I think it's Karinchak. Anyway, he's not even in the majors, okay, this year. He was demoted after such a great season. The year before that, it was somebody else that had such a great season, then couldn't make it in the major leagues to save out games. So this happens every year. Now you have guys like Mark Melanson. How old? I mean, how first of all, I think Mark Melanson is a free agent again going into the season. I do not know if he's going to stay with the Padres, but he got the most saves in baseball last year or in this year, 2021. He's 36 years old and 6 months right now. He will be 37 at the start of next season. I can't imagine how much longer he's going to be staying in the game. And Kenley Jansen, same thing. He ranked tied for 2 for the most saves, tied for second with Liam Hendricks for the most saves in baseball. Who would have thunk I don't know. These guys, who knows? Edwin Diaz, he looks like he might be back. He's on a crappy team. The Mets don't get along, I don't think. But nobody was drafting Emmanuel Clase. They were not drafting him. I think people were paying a ton for Karinchak, and even though you did know that he wasn't going, well, obviously you didn't know if you were paying a lot. Anyways, let's go back to the Red Sox game and talk about that for a second. Eovaldi, he faced Tampa Bay 3 times since July 31st. 2 of them were at home at Fenway, and one of these matchups was away at Tampa. So let's just focus on the 2 at home at Fenway. One of them was on September 8th and the other one on August 11th. He pitched 7 innings both times, combined for 1 earned run in both of those outings combined, 1 earned run, and struck out 18 batters in 14 innings. So, needless to say, Eovaldi, pretty good against the Rays so far. Who knows what he'll do, but I think he's already pitched another. I don't know. Didn't he pitch the Yankee game that they've had? I was concerned about him going into that game because both Stanton and Judge had good batting averages against Eovaldi, and I was a little concerned about that because it seemed like Stanton and Judge were on a roll. Anyways, we're going into this game completely opposite. He's been very good against the Rays. That's just the most recent outings, and then he's going up against Rasmussen, who is another youngster, okay, but he faced the Red Sox twice in September 1st and September 7th. So he pitched not he pitched 4 innings in one and 5 innings in the other one. When he went to Fenway, he pitched 5 innings, only struck out 2 Red Sox, didn't walk anybody, 1 earned run that day. And so that's good. The other time he faced the Red Sox was at home in Tampa Bay. He threw only 4 innings, struck out 5 though at least. And so he's been pretty good. And who knows how late he'll go into games, but I can say that Rasmussen, I think I have his stats from September 7th through September 29th, which are his final 4 starts to end the season. He threw 20 innings, allowed 13 hits, only 3 earned runs. He had a 1.35 ERA over his final 4 starts of the regular season. So that's something that you could, say. I might take a chance on him in daily today just to be different because I don't think a lot of people are going to be really going there. So we talked about the fact that 6 Boston relievers have recorded at least 1 save since September began. That's pretty good. I didn't even know Hansel Robles was on the Red Sox, okay? I really didn't. I shouldn't admit that ever, but I really did admit it because it's true. I didn't know Hansel Robles was a Red Sox. All right, Kiki Hernandez is the second Red Sox player ever with 5 hits in a postseason game. One other guy did this in 1999. That would be Mike Stanley for all of those oldies but goodies out there. And I wanted to just talk a little bit about the White Sox game coming up. They really have to win this game. Tonight at 8:07 is game 3. They are down 2-0. The Houston Astros are crushing them. Tony La Russa decides today, the game is today, I believe. He decides not to put in Carlos Rodon, who's completely rested and ready to go. He had 14 innings pitched against the Astros this season and only allowed 4 hits and 1 run, and he struck out 18. Okay. Nobody on that team hits home runs against him. I don't know what he's doing, but he's putting in Dylan Cease today. He's got a 6.3 ERA over his final 3 starts, but that doesn't necessarily mean against the Astros. Altuve is 4 for 8 against this guy Cease. 1 home run, batting .500. Okay, then you have Brantley. He's 3 for 7 with 2 home runs against Dylan Cease. So La Russa is not really thinking this through as far as I'm concerned. But, I'm not the manager, and I probably don't know even what I'm talking about. I'm just saying. Yuli Gurriel hits 429 against him, and he's 3 for 7. I just don't get it. Yuli Gurriel is getting on base. All these guys are getting on base. Kyle Tucker is 2 for 3 against him. 6.67 batting average against him. Yordan Alvarez, he's 0 for 5 against him, so he's not. He's still, he walked twice against Dylan Cease. So yeah, his batting average says 0, but he got on base both times. Anyway, I don't know. It doesn't seem like a great winning combination here for me. I do think that I want to root for the White Sox for sure. I'm going to just root for both Sox teams, and then I won't ever get confused. I did read, if Malpal's here, Malpal, I was reading today that the Padres could be, they were interested in Ron Washington coming to fill in for, take over Jace Tingler's spot, because apparently when they hired Jace Tingler, they were like trying to decide between Ron Washington and Jace Tingler in 2019, and they obviously went with the less experienced guy. And they even say now, this guy, the Sealer guy, I don't know his title, but he is saying that the experience doesn't really matter. But hello, maybe this is AJ Preller problem and not, maybe I'm with Malpal on this one. I'm not a fan of AJ Preller, but he keeps hiring managers without any experience. And then I think he does that so that they'll just do what he says. I think he likes managers that are not hard to control. Okay. To put it politely, but the Padres, Ron Washington, I don't know, man. I don't know. He managed the Rangers. He had some issues. Who cares? Everybody has issues in their life, so I'm not even going to go there with that. But he seemed like a really good players manager. The players really always liked him in Texas. The fans liked him, of course, even though, whatever. He was a players manager. That's what I remember most about him. Anyways, it would be nice to have him come back. I'm not sure that he's a proper fit for the Padres, but I think Preller needs more of a yes man type of guy. Who knows? Yes man is not working for that team, by the way. The yes man theory is not really working. Also, I was reading that the one thing that the Pirates accomplished something this year, okay? They had the least number of errors in baseball this year. So, yeah. And what do? They get rid of their infield coach, Joey Cora, gone. Bye-bye. So the team offense, the least number of errors, or defensively, they scored the least, or defensively, they committed the least number of errors in baseball. They committed the least number of everything in baseball, probably. Maybe the Diamondbacks did, but regardless. MLB low 70 errors, and that's the one thing good the Pirates did. The Phillies are so Dombrowski did a media press conference yesterday or the day before, where the media just sat there and asked him questions, and he answered all the questions that they asked. And he talked about the Didi Gregorius situation at shortstop, and he said that Didi Gregorius is not guaranteed to be the starting shortstop next season. So without going into a bunch of COVID vaccine nonsense, okay, I will just say this. when Didi got vaccinated, his doctor he started having problems with his arm. He was told by his personal doctor that it could be side effects from the vaccine. Of course, everybody, including the media and the management and everybody else, blew him off, acted like he's crazy saying that there's absolutely no proof that this came from the vaccine. There's no proof that the vaccine causes these pseudo gout symptoms. Right, there's no proof that it doesn't too. So anyway, he's not the only player that was complaining about and saying that they had lingering issues from the side effects. But you know what bothers me about this is not that it's happening because everybody's getting vaccinated. So of course there's going to be side effects and some people aren't going to react positively. But when you try to hide it from people or when you blow it off and act like one person's medical issue is not as important as the other person's medical issue, that they're full of it, they're making stuff up, they're psychotic, they're conspiracy theorists. That's really not right to do to people because it's bound to happen, but the fact that they don't want you to know about it, that's the freaky part. That's what really scares the living daylights out of me. And since we don't keep track of COVID breakthrough cases in this country for some odd reason, we decided not to track any kind of breakthrough cases. So we only track breakthrough cases if they lead to death or hospitalization. And so that really doesn't really make it very possible to figure out the hospitalization rate of a breakthrough case unless we're keeping track of the breakthrough cases. It's very simple math there. It's impossible to find out. So that's a problem. So what I did was I kept track throughout the season of all the COVID injuries. With baseball, you can't really hide it. And baseball had these rules going where, if you're vaccinated, you only have to have 2 negative tests to come back. If you're not vaccinated, you have to spend at least 10 days minimum in quarantine. If you're not vaccinated, you have to check in with I mean, basically they put an ankle bracelet on you and monitor everywhere you go. But if you're vaccinated, you don't have to do that. So it was easy to tell uh, a lot of times whether or not a player was vaccinated. And for the most part, the media was the best at making sure everybody knew who was vaccinated and who wasn't, especially if they weren't. The media was out to get those people. And then the mob would come for those people and say, "You're stupid and crazy. And why aren't you doing this?" And I kept track of the number of COVID injury list trips this year. So I was reading Jason Stark's article at The Athletic, and he was talking about the injuries. And my gosh, the injuries in baseball in general, not including the COVID injuries, were up like 30% this year. That's not including the COVID injuries. So think of that because once you add all the COVID injuries, you're talking about a huge increase in injuries. Now, what does that mean for going into next year? Who knows what it means, but not even counting players who landed on the COVID IL, the number of player placements on the injured list around baseball was up 37% compared with each of the 2 previous full seasons, which would be 2018 and 19. The average team used the injury list, not including the COVID, 32 times in the season, and that was up from 23 times in 2019. So heading into the last weekend of baseball, there were 216 different players who made multiple trips to the non-COVID IL in 2021. And get this, on July 22nd, there were 295 different players on the injured list at the same time. And that doesn't even include the COVID, which had another 24 players on it. So there were 319 players out on an injury list, one or the other, on July 22nd. And there were 534 non-COVID injuries in 2021. It's a 44% increase from 2019 and 2018, which had 370 and 367. That was about 18 per team. So that's crazy. Add the COVID injured list to that, which he didn't discuss at all in his article, but I found it so intriguing that the number of injuries was staggering. And I thought I was the only one, of course. I'm like, my team sucks. I got so unlucky. All my players are injured. No, everybody's players were injured. That's probably the truth. But in 2020, we had 72 players go on the COVID injured list for one reason or another. The average amount of time that the player spent on the COVID injured list was 17 days. That was in 2020. There was no vaccine. There was a total of 1,290 days out on COVID injured list combined in 2020. Now, moving on to 2021, you have 217 players to hit the COVID injured list. They spent on average 9 days. Okay. A good chunk of those people are vaccinated. They, if you multiply or divide that up, right? So let's say in that 60 game season last year, it's the only thing we have to compare where we had no vaccine. They had 72 players hit the COVID list. This year, if you even it out, like if you divide the number by 3, that would be 72 players hit the COVID list this year. Same exact number of players to go on the COVID IL in 2021 as 2020, which is interesting because back at the beginning of June, the commissioner of baseball said that over 85% of Major League Baseball Tier 1 employees and players are vaccinated. So you have 85% of players and Tier 1 people vaccinated, and the same number of people hit the COVID list. Vaccinated or unvaccinated, it doesn't matter. The average amount of days went down in 2021, of course, because if you're vaccinated, you need only 2 tests to say that you're negative, and if you're unvaccinated, you need 10 days. So, still 17 days on average, they spent 212 players. There's a lot of them a lot of them went twice. A good chunk of them went twice. So, anyway, that was what I had on the COVID vaccines because since that's my only way to figure out like what kind of breakthrough. And I do have one other thing that's interesting is that last year, out of all the 72 players that got COVID, only one ended up with severe side effects from the COVID. Only one of them ended up that needed hospitalization, which was Eduardo Rodriguez. He had heart problems after that. And so that was really serious. He missed the entire season because of it. And Yoan Moncada was not good either after he had the COVID. He said that it stuck with him all season. He was like really lethargic and having a lot of like long-term COVID long haul symptoms, right? Just tired all the time last year. But he didn't steal any bases this year either. So I don't know. Maybe COVID is still lasting for him. But the point is, this year we had nobody with serious hospitalization issues this year. We didn't have any hardly last year either. So it's really hard to tell. It's really hard to say, yeah, this thing kept them so much more healthy than they would have been had they not had the vaccine because we don't really know that. Based on what we saw last year, there wasn't anybody that got really sick last year. So the Cubbies is one of the 5 teams. There were 5 teams that did not make the 85% threshold this season. There's 5 teams that they didn't reach it. So they got stuck with the really strict COVID protocol rules all season long. Cubbies were one of the teams right off the bat. That's who I think of because they only had 2 people on the Cubbies catch COVID or hit the COVID IL all season until the very last week of the season. They had like 5 guys go to the IL with COVID. We don't really know how long they would have been out because the season ended, but the only 2 people on the Cubbies that got COVID all of 2021 season are 2 managers who were both fully vaccinated. David Ross and what's the other guy? The other dude, the one above David Ross, the GM. The little Theo protege. John Daniels, I think, is who it is, maybe. I don't know, maybe that's not it at all. Either way, there's the 2 that so Cubbies managed to stay away from COVID, and part of that might be the fact that, the fact that when you're not vaccinated, your rules are so much stricter. You're not allowed to go to restaurants with people. You're not allowed to share cabs with people. You're not allowed to fly with family and friends. You're not allowed to do all these things. And so, that has to play into this idea that these teams that are catching COVID all the time are vaccinated because they think that they are safe. They're doing everything together. They're all, hugging and playing in the club, in the dugout. And when the other unvaccinated people they have to not be, they have to social distance basically. The rules say they have to social distance. Maybe that's why I'm not saying, that I just think that the lax rules, right? It puts people into situations where they might not have been in otherwise. But that's it. That's all I got to say. And this is fun times right now. I think baseball was excellent this year. I think that it was just really good for baseball. A lot of things that happened. There was a couple. One of the things that Jason Stark brought up in his article about the 2021 season was about the upcoming CBA, and the biggest, like, from executives that were surveyed all over baseball, the biggest concern was teams tanking. It wasn't anything else. It was that was he said that was the number one thing that these executives put as their pressing concern going into these agreement talks was that teams tank. And honestly, I don't really feel like a lot of that was, I don't know, it didn't grab my attention anyway. I mean, we knew the Pirates were bad, but some of these teams are spending like less than a third of what other teams are spending. Some of Dodgers spending over $200 million. Okay. And they're probably going to go to the World Series again. So, should there be a cap? I don't know, but $220 million versus what the Pirates, the Marlins, the Orioles maybe, but these are teams that are spending like less than 60 million, less than $50 million total combined on all their payroll. So I think that they are going to be that's going to be high up on their list. I would assume that the thing that would have been highest on my list is to quit treating the minor league players like they're cattle and quit treating them like they shouldn't be able to make a living to afford to get out of their mother's basement. I mean, it's pretty bad when you're about ready to make the major leagues and you live in a one-bedroom apartment or your van because you can't afford to eat after the games and nobody will feed you. It's horrific the way that they pay these minor league players. So, that's it. Hope everybody has a great day. Go Sox teams. That's all.